I loved this film. I absolutely loved it. I was on the journey from the moment I saw your eyes, Lily. It was just beautiful and unknown, exactly like the title. And I was wondering, with you guys having shot some of the scenes in Texas, was South by Southwest one of the goals? And Morrisa, where were you when you received the call that you got in? What was that like for you?
I was laying in bed with my grandma.
I love that. I love that. That's perfect and poetic.
I was a little bit like, was this meant to be? Yeah, we were watching, it sounds like I'm making this up. We were watching an old Western on TCM, and I picked up my phone to look if it was shot in the locations in South Dakota that we shot, because I thought some of the locations looked familiar. And then I picked up my phone and I saw the South by Southwest. And then I started profusely like yelling, and it was like 11:30 at night, and she was like, "What happened?" My God. But I was really happy to be able to share that moment with her. Yeah, and then South by. We were so focused on what we were making that I don't think we ever talked about the dream post really what the work was. That's not how we were thinking about it. So I don't think we ever really, am I correct in that? Like, I don't know if we had.
I mean, I think the film has its own sort of metaphysical will that it premiered where it wanted to premiere. It wanted to come home. I think Big Bend was such a huge character in the whole thing. And that connection to land that is driven throughout, and is reinforced by, Michelle, Lainey's grandmother, talking about the land will heal you. And I feel like the movie premiered where it wanted to, and the audience that saw it really saw it. And, we're all very place-based beings. So it's natural that the film would be too.
Yeah, what she said. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's like, we are over the moon to be, this is where I strongly feel like the film belongs. And like, we've all had throughout the process a very like emotional relationship with Texas, not just like, I mean, obviously the film's Austin Film Society and all that stuff, but our journey also, the film's journey in making it here also connected everybody with Texas in a very strong way. So, we couldn't be happy.
Yeah, we had like early support from AFS, Austin Film Society. Like they gave us our first grant, right?
Very first, in 2018, and that helped get Lily on board, because then it was like it was something that we could really. It was a concrete way that the film, instead
of wasn't a concept anymore. It was suddenly, it felt they're basically who greenlit us. So
that's
that it came back to Texas is wonderful. That it came back to a community of Austin filmmakers is as well. And I mean, it was largely a community of Austin filmmakers paired with Montana filmmakers that launched me into this trajectory of acting in indies as well. So it just
I was actually, that was one of my questions too. I was wondering at what moment solidified, I guess maybe your trust in the project, Lily, like as an actress, I can imagine it would be a bit scary to have such kind of an unknown premise. Her vision was artistic and beautiful, but what made you say, this is it, I'm going to do this?
Totally. And that was a journey for me, because I mean, this was post Certain Women. It had come out. So I'd done like a tour of, critics awards and award shows and press, and took a nice quiet period of a theater contract with Oregon Shakespeare Festival. So I was kind of just blocking out of my head and like saying yes to many projects. And it is a thing that, there were a lot of projects that had maybe similar premises. And I mean, initially, when I saw how hard Morrisa was working on it and that she had this early test footage, I could see what her vision was. As you want to be selective about the work you choose next. I was already contending with like having this breakout performance in this understated film, where it's always a question. I think a lot of Native actors get this anyway, since we're kind of on a rise now, but a lot of people assume that we're not actors. So I was really excited about the idea of being able to create a character that could differentiate the work that I was known for then. And I also like knowing how the story originated, and Lainey and Morrisa will be able to speak to their friendship, and like Lainey seeing the themes Morrisa wanted to explore of this, like being from a land, but feeling like, you know, being an insider and an outsider at the same time, of being like a witness and feeling a diaspora of what is America right now, where am I in that? And Lainey like really picked up on it, being like, well, maybe this story should be about a Native girl.
Yeah.
So for me as like a Native actress in this kind of style, it often in the wrong hands can turn into a very exploitive sort of an endeavor.
Yes.
But because of the really truly authentic way that the subjects in this documentary were actually driving a narrative, finding the story that like they wanted to tell, I trusted that. Like watching the early test footage, seeing just the lens Morrisa has as a filmmaker, the beautiful cinematography by Andrew, the way that they really wed that together and are just such a, you know, it's like such a left and right brain or something, whatever you want to call it. It's such an effortless collaboration between these two filmmakers. And like I'd already learned how important that relationship is, watching, you know, just watching how Kelly and her DP, Chris Blauvelt, have that unspoken thing. I could see that immediately in the footage. And then hearing Lainey speak in these early test shots, I got an immediate sense of who she was. And you can tell, you know, when you're an actor, you know when something's a scene, you know when something is being driven, you know when a piece has like this grand master agenda. And I feel like if you're going into communities that are kept in peripheral focus, are marginalized, are not represented, it's really easy for a filmmaker who's outside of that to come in with a very specific agenda about how they want to use those communities to say what they want to say. Yeah. Morrisa was in these communities because of, you know, the path that life was taking her on. Lainey is such a force and such an insistent like force that Lainey wasn't going to be just a peripheral story. She wasn't going to be a stop on this road trip. She like, in, you know, a very like executive producer fashion, shaped like the heart of the story. And that gave me a lot of trust.
Yeah.
That this was not going to be, like Morrisa wasn't driving toward an agenda. She was listening to people along the way. And I think a lot of the best storytellers do that. You leave a lot of space for those unknowns, those little magic moments, those things that just really are real to live, you know?
Yeah. I mean, this is absolutely how a person not of a community tells a story of that community. I mean, because I keep hearing it like, you know, why can't we tell, you know, other people's stories? And you have to listen. And you absolutely did. And I really kudos to everyone involved on this project. I was actually curious, did you receive any pushback for blending the documentary subjects within a narrative format? Did you ever have anyone say, that doesn't work, or I love it?
Vanara, do you want to answer that, or do you want me to answer that?
Sure. There was a little pushback. I don't know if it would be called pushback, more like skepticism in our earlier cuts, because this film was done so organically. Like it was shot over a few years and in different times. And, you know, when you're a small indie that you wait for the money and then you can go out again. So I think I will be fair to the skeptics that they hadn't seen the full proof of concept. But I really thought it was a powerful tool to give just a structure. And I think also like my reactions of going on road trips too, of like, you want to know, like when you're in the middle of nowhere, like where this gas station attendant, like what their life is. So I think that slice of life
it really
was there. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question.
No, it does. No, I mean, you do when you're driving around, you're like, who lives here? You know, like what it was wonderful. So yeah, Lainey, I didn't even have to read that this was a real wedding, because I mean, I felt it on screen. It was just, it was beautiful. But I was wondering, just in the process of getting involved to tell your story, did anyone in your family not want to be involved, or do you have a memorable story in filming that you were just like, wow, I didn't expect all of this?
Well, my mother didn't want to be involved.
Okay.
And whenever we were getting ready for the wedding, she was combing my daughter's hair, and the camera just kind of turned towards her, and Morrisa was like, "Darlene, can you say this to Lily?" And so like my mom just did it, and I think now she's secretly proud of it, but when she
She's here with us, so
this road trip came for a reason. And but no, like when she looks at herself, she gets all like, oh, you know, I didn't want to be on camera, but I think she's proud of that part. But other than that, my whole family, like my grandpa, he's always wanted to be in a film, and they were very supportive, and I'm glad that they're here with us. It makes me feel, you know, because I've never been in Texas, and I mean, it has nothing to do with Texas.
Yeah.
I'm just glad that my family, they're just all supportive, and I love them very much. And they're calling me right now.
Yeah. Figuring out food.
Wait, that was your actual grandfather that had the jean jacket on, and
No, that's Richard.
Right.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, I've seen him before. Okay. He was amazing.
And just to talk to that scene, I mean, like it's really remarkable how and this, I mean, I feel like this always happens with like hyper realistic minimalist narratives. Like you wonder how much overlap there is between doc and reality, but like everybody who was in this, Tom included, like did the actor trick of everybody met me. We all resonated really quickly. It was hard to make me look like an outsider to this family because like immediately there was so much familiarity. So everybody, when we were aware the camera was rolling, I saw everybody walk that back. It's like we're hanging out with Lily and we're having fun with Lily, but it's like, oh, Andrew's moving around and Marissa's like watching the monitor. They're rolling. Okay. And then we would all kick back into character.
Yeah.
And just did that trick that is so difficult for any actor to do, is like, the given circumstances, the world, maybe what your objective is, but then you have to forget all of that. So it looks like fresh discovery.
Yeah.
And that happened like many of the scenes and I love this. I mean, it's just such a testament to like this team of people making this film. Like there were so many moments where it's like writing on your feet, like working with non-actors, non-writers. We found a scene and we would go back and like, oh, that worked. That'll work for the story later. It's like we were discovering the story points sometimes in the moment with these non-actors who would then rewind it, reset themselves, remember what they just said, find a new way to say it. And like, I mean, that happened at Dale in the gas station. We were like, every non-actor in this is actually really fantastic actor. I'm sorry, I got a little off the beaten path. What was the?
No worries. No, when Dale was trying to, when he like started, like Dale, no one needs to know the gas station attendant, but he would like start to try to be like, in some airlines, he was like, and that's, so you're headed to the unknown country. He was trying to like,
he really wanted to drop the title.
Yes.
He wanted to be the one who said the title.
Yeah. So like, everyone really was getting into it and became so much a part of it that they understood how to act in it also, not just to be, not just to solely be themselves and non-actors in that, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Just to your
totally. But I'm sorry, what was the original question? Yeah. I got in the weeds.
It doesn't matter. I loved what you said. No, I actually did want to ask Lainey if this is filmmaking a part of your life now. Like, is this, you want to continue telling stories?
I do. And if it wasn't for Morrisa, I wouldn't have thought I would do anything like this or want to. even Lily, Lily inspired me, and right now we're working on something, and hopefully it works out. And that's pretty much what I want to do, is tell stories and bring my culture into it. Hopefully, just try to if I could put my culture and my people and my background out there, and I have the opportunity to do it, that would be great.
Awesome.
I
I was hoping
remember
you'd say that.
It was a question about Tom. So going back to answer that one, Lainey's grandfather, Tom, with the white hair in the bar, that's talking about
that one's my
raised,
Okay.
yeah, right. That was a fun little moment too, because we came up with the character named Tana the first time that I was in Spearfish. We hadn't named this character
A
yet.
day before filming.
But because we were going into the family scenario, we had to have a name for who Tana was. So I decided that I wanted to honor my family. My dad's Blackfeet name, his SXSW name is Namoisistsi, means hummingbird. So then I just asked a friend how to say hummingbird in Lakota, and it's Tanakila. So then Tana, that's where that came from. And then in the bar, when Tom is just telling these family stories, he's talking about Tara, Tyson, Tanner. It's like, oh, okay, Tana.
It gave me an L.
But Richard Ray Whitman is an actor that we decided needed that in the hero's journey, that inciting incident, or somebody to help set Tana on her path of discovery. And the suitcase needed to be handed off, needed to have that trip to the reservation. But making it the grandfather character also happened the same day that we came up with Tana's name. And then 2 days later, I'd worked with Richard on Winter in the Blood, the film that was half Austin, half Montana. And he's got such a tremendous role in that. And Morrisa was describing wanting a grandfather that would also, kind of bend stereotype people's preconceptions about, okay, they're going on the reservation. What is that going to look like? And we see how filmmakers exploit that poverty porn lens constantly. But she also knew that there were, just from being there is so much more than that. So Morrisa said it would be great if the grandfather has this artistic side to him, has maybe a love of photography, something like that weds in with the art of the piece. And it was Richard Ray Whitman, who is such a prolific artist. He's a fantastic actor. He's just a beautiful soul. So all of the stuff that we found there in Thunder Valley, which is a development corporation that's doing sustainable housing built in the way Lakota, old Lakota villages were, in the round, where everybody's doors facing east, facing houses facing inward. It's all solar paneled. It's to address houselessness in Pine Ridge in a way that's really cutting edge for everybody. So we wanted to showcase that. It's people see the deficits in Indian country because that's what filmmakers want to look at, but we wanted to show where's, it's the leadership that people need to see coming from Indian country that we all can adopt, So casting Richard, casting Richard as that character and then finding that location was a way of subverting what a lot of non-native filmmakers doing a docudrama would want to go in and find. And Morrisa just very explicitly was I don't want to show what everybody else has shown. I want it to be a bigger picture than that. So.
And that was also from all the time that I was spending with Lainey and Lainey's family. I wasn't seeing what is normally depicted on screen.
Right.
So it felt like I was seeing, we were just seeing I was seeing a totally different.
Real world. There's a pool here. She's nice. In a second now.
No, but that when it was mentioned that you would be going to the reservation, that I immediately had my own, images of what this was going to be. And so you so well done. Thank you for sharing this film with us all. And thank you for being here with me today. And I wish you all the best of luck. I can't wait to see what's next.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.